Mr. Barrett, please, for 5 minutes.
Oh, the firing squad's back.
Sir, have you been contacted by the RCMP concerning allegations that name your company specifically in the Globe and Mail on October 4th? Because the RCMP is investigating. Have you been contacted?
No, I have not.
You won't tell the committee what you were paid on ArriveCan for your two-person company that did no IT work on an IT project, but you said your commission was up to 30% of $54 million. So you won't tell us how much, but that would be up to $16 million. Is that what you're saying? That it could be up to $16 million for a company that does no IT work to do IT work?
We were never paid $54 million. Our piece was the front-end web development and our mobile development.
30%. You said the number was 30%, and so you won't tell us how much. So it's up to $16 million.
No, it's not. We wouldn't. $54 million included $10 million for a call center. It included other vendors they used. $54 million was not through GC Strategies contracts. That was only.
You won't tell us how many. You won't tell us how many millions. You're summoned before a parliamentary committee. You won't tell us how many millions you were paid on this.
Okay, I just want to point out, Barrett knows damn well. He knows damn well all of the different costs in ArriveCan. I can tell you that 100%. What he's doing is trying to flush out of Mr. Firth the number. Because Firth is saying, well, I don't have that number. But he gave Barrett the percentage. So Barrett's basically, again, reducto ad absurdum. He's taking it to absurdity. Fine, I'll use the whole number, $54 million. So you're saying it could be upwards of $16 million. And then First saying, well, no. Well, how do you know that? You don't know the number. So it's a pressure tactic that he's trying to use to get Firth to actually say the number to committee.
But we do know that you submitted fraudulent resumes that increased the billing and the billing rates and falsely qualified vendors. We know that you lied about your relationship with Cameron McDonald to oversell yourself to subcontractors. That's unbelievable. Have you ever met with government officials outside of government offices, outside of government business hours?
No, I have not.
You have not. Have you ever met Mark Briard, the former CTO for Canada?
Yes,
have you ever met him in a hotel?
I don't have that information. I can look on my Outlook. I don't think so.
You don't know if you met him in a hotel.
Barrett knows.
Do you know?
Of course he knows.
If Cameron McDonald has a cottage?
I smell Swiss Chalet, I think. I think I smell Swiss Chalet. I'm about to be served a quarter chicken dinner, aren't I, guys? Okay. Let me get my fork and knife. I'm ready.
I don't know if Cameron McDonald has a cottage.
Do you know if he had one?
I do not know if he had a cottage.
How many projects have you worked on with him?
So when we first met in 2009, the first contract I had was in 2020, 11 years after we first had our first call.
Can you table all the documentation that you have for projects that you've done with Mr. McDonald?
Uh-oh.
Yes.
That's not going to look good for Mr. Cameron McDonald. Well, on the surface, it's fine. But that's not going to paint a good picture for Cameron McDonald, considering how shady this guy is.
When were you approached by Mr. McDonald about Bottler?
This was a conversation not about Bottler, but again, identifying a systemic problem in the federal government with harassment.
What was the price for the CBSA Bottler pilot?
I believe you'll have to ask Correlix and Dalian. I don't have the final price. I was not dealing with the government directly.
So you can't tell us about the target price for the enterprise implementation of the Bottler solution for the government of Canada that you were working on?
No, because I do not know exactly how many people are in the public servants. I don't have that number.
Your commission would have been on the government of Canada-wide implementation of that project?
No, because the deal was never done. I don't know how that number.
Well, again, why is Barrett asking these questions? Because he knows the answer. And he knows the answer because Kristian Firth already provided this answer to the bottler folks. And he provided this answer in a recorded conversation. Now, we will provide a link to that recorded conversation after this, because this is a long stream as it is, and it's going to go on longer. But what he said on that recording, I believe it was on the recording, was $20 million is what the total value of that enterprise implementation of this would be across the government. And their cut would be, I think they said 20% on this. So 20% of $20 million, that's $4 million.
Yeah.
$4 million.
You entered into this without knowing what you'd get paid for it. It was just goodwill by the guy who committed fraud to increase billing rates on resumes for some subcontractors. It was just you doing a nice thing for Bottler and the government of Canada.
As I mentioned, it was not fraud, it was a mistake, and increasing that did nothing to the rates. The rates are fixed price. This is not per diem based.
Sir, you said that previously that that you are paid primarily on per diem. We know that the per diem rates are set based on the experience of the subcontractor. So
Correct.
how could it not affect the price by changing the experience of the person who is doing the work if it increases the per diem rate?
It's a fixed price. It doesn't matter if the per diem was $20 or if it was $900. The fixed price for the deliverable would be $54 or whatever the number was. It doesn't go off a time material. It goes off fixed price and deliverables.
The changing the resume, fraudulently changing the resume to qualify someone and inflating the number of hours that they have is absolutely going to affect the price of the contract and whether or not the person's going to be able to do the contract.
Well, as I mentioned, there's different categories. There would have been categories if after it was deemed they were not compliant with those, they would have been on a different category they would have been compliant for. And per diems don't matter on a fixed price contract.
Is your testimony that you did speak with the person named in those resumes? You spoke with them by telephone about the changes that you made, the fraud that you committed on those resumes. You spoke to them. You did a back and forth on the telephone with them about this resume. Is that your testimony today?
No, as I mentioned to the previous gentleman I was speaking with, I didn't do that because of haste. The wrong one was sent in, and they were never qualified by the resources. That conversation never happened.